Dear audience, welcome to the show POWERchat. In today's episode, we are discussing about open and distance education. Joining us today are Dr. Chang Yeul Yang, head of the team, Office of International Affairs at Korean National Open University, and Mr. Ganga Ram Gautam, director at Open and Distance Education Center of Tribhuvan University. Please allow me to welcome them. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Well, today we are going to discuss next half an hour on distance and open education. Both of you are long engaged in academics.
Yes.
I would start with Dr. Yang.
Mm-hmm.
This is your first visit here in
Yes,
Nepal.
it is.
What is your observation about Nepal as such in relations to academics?
Okay, so first of all, I was very much surprised by the size of the Kathmandu. I believe the Kathmandu is a very small city, but when I arrived in Kathmandu, it was very big. And then I met many scholars from the TU University, including Professor Ganga, and they are very welcome us as invited speaker and the invited scholars.
How do you evaluate the distance and open education at the global perspective? You have been long engaged for last 15 years.
Yes,
you are with the university, Korean National Open University.
That's right. To answer your question, it's better to start introduce the Korean National Open University first. Korean National Open University, aka KNOU, was established in 1972. It is the second oldest open university, following the UKOU, which was established 2 years earlier than the KNOU. And then KNOU has been the cradle of the lifelong learning in Korea. And also KNOU has grown into mega university, and it has about 600,000 alumni. And as of 2019, we have 100,000 enrolled students. That means this is a big university.
Well, Dr. Yang, I will come back to you on the programs that your university offers in relations to distance and open education. Mr. Gautam, how do you evaluate the state of distance and open education in the context of Nepal? You are leading a center, an initiative by Tribhuvan University called Open and Distance Education Center.
Thank you, Laxman, for having me here. In Nepal, the discourse of open and distance education started long time ago, but the operationalization started only in 2015 when Tribhuvan University started Open and Distance Education Center, ODEC. So that's the official beginning, and Open University came after that. So there was a kind of long debate about the relevance and quality aspect of open and distance education system, and that's why it took so long. Now there is a growing awareness and sensitization among the public, both in academic and general public, that open and distance education is also a quality education. So the quality dimension of open and distance education was the key discussion in the debate. But now there is a kind of growing realization that quality higher education is still possible through open and distance mode. It's the rigor that you maintain in the program rather than the mode.
Who do you target with these courses offered at the university, this center?
Excellent question, thank you. I think there are there is a big range of people that we can target through open and distance mode of education. But if you look at the current enrollment, we are running M.Ed program in English and Mathematics education, and our students are the working teachers in the outlying areas of Nepal. But in the future, we are targeting a very wide group like the bureaucrats, the security force, the politicians and housewives, and the people living in the rural areas. It's a big range. If you look at this KNOU experience, the range is very wide, and also in last Thursday's presentation, they presented us a kind of big range of people attending their program.
Well, how do you distinguish the conventional way of education here in Nepal? You have same level of courses with the Tribhuvan University
Right.
with the open and distance education.
Number one, this open and distance mode of education is targeted to those people who cannot come and attend the face-to-face mode of education, but they would like to earn the degree in the same programs. It is just the kind of distance and the location that they can come to us. So they want their degree in their doorstep. So that's number one. And if you are talking about the relevance, what I have realized now when I started looking for more information in open and distance education, and also by hearing to KNOU's experience, open and distance mode of education is more meaningful because you can directly connect it with your practical life. I am now working with a number of teachers as my student through open and distance mode of education, and we teach them this English language methodology, mathematics pedagogy, and we get instant feedback from our teacher, which theories work, which method work, which do not work. So in the face-to-face mode of education, you don't have that mechanism. You have to wait until your students graduate and start teaching. But in our case, you get the immediate feedback. So you can continuously recycle the course and the content that you deliver by getting students' feedback. I'm sure that's true.
That's right.
In
That's
Open
right.
University of Korea also.
Well, could you share with us about the experience from Korea on same question?
Well, actually, I believe the history of KNOU is speaks by itself because we have 46 years history of the operating the open and distance learning, and then many people, I mean, in the society of the Korea, love to attend the classes because those people have a job already, but they tend to have another degree or for the better life. In that case, open and learning mode is very essential in these days, especially for the young generation. As you know, the young generation love to use the digital devices like a mobile or PC or laptop, something like that, and then we provide all the courses through that media. In that case, that they love to adapt to those new items.
Well, could you also share with us the major disciplines that your university for last 46 years
What do you mean by the
has
major?
been offering the courses, major courses at your
Main
university?
courses.
Yes, and how can people, one willing to study at your university in countries like Nepal, benefit with those courses?
You know, the Korea is very small. I mean, compared to the other big countries like USA or like Australia, it's a very small country. But there is eager to learn more. That means that many people want to get a degree from the higher education in that sense, and then there are compared to the other countries like USA, even though they are big size of the country, Korea is a mountainous country like Nepal. So in that case, the people who live in the remote area, they cannot come to school by themselves. So we have to provide them quality-based higher education to them. So that's the one thing which the Nepal TU should adapt to this kind of distance mode. I believe there are many people who live in the remote areas also in Nepali. And then TU with the help from the ODEC can help people or can provide quality-based higher education to those people. So we can see the similar situation from both countries.
Well, you launched a program on Thursday highlighting the utilization of information communication technologies within distance and open education in collaboration with the university, Korea National Open University. What are the objectives of that program, and how do you want to reach out to the people who are not access to the conventional way of education?
Right. As I mentioned earlier that we are very young in running open and distance mode of education. Now Tribhuvan University is a part of a larger network of the universities in the region which are working in open and distance mode of education, including Korean National Open University. So when we had a kind of communication between the two universities, we talked about how we can start our collaboration. And the agreement between us was, since we have just started, there is a lot to learn from the experienced universities like KNOU. So we thought that in order to begin open and distance mode of education program, technology is important. Technology does not only mean the computer and internet. It includes several other things and some very simple things which are easily available even in the rural areas. So in order to leverage those wealth of resources in technology, faculty development is the key. So teacher development is the key. The professors, qualification in integrating ICT in the pedagogy is the key. So we thought that maybe that's the starting point where we can research, look at the strength of our faculty and what kind of support they will need so that they can be prepared to take that leap into the open mode of education. So maybe you can elaborate that.
What is your experience reaching out to the people accessing
actually,
open education in Korea?
Actually, I got to know about the situation about TU's faculty members when we met last month at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and then he explained about what do the faculty member of TU need, and then I got to know that they need some kind of ICT competence. So they are not familiar with the ICT, and then sometimes they are afraid of using ICT. But from our experiences, once you use it, you cannot stop it because it is very easy to use it, and it is very helpful both to the student, and to the professors, and it is very it can be used by widely, and it can be used repeatedly. So it has many advantages of using a technology in education. So that kind of experience will hand over to the excellent university like TU, and based on that, our collaboration, TU will be step up as an open university.
Well, using ICT, especially the smartphones and internet, stuffs, for personal use is one thing, and using them for academic purposes is another thing. Do you think that universities here in Nepal that you are collaborating with, the Tribhuvan University, what they have to do to reach out to the people trying to access this mode of education,
there are many,
so that they appropriately use it for academic purpose?
Okay, there are many ways to use the digital devices. Once you just whenever we talking about the distance education, everybody think about the high technology, like a high end of state art of the technology, like a smartphone or mobile phone, PC. But think about that in the remote area, some of them do not have those kind of high end technology devices. What can we do? In that case, I know that there are many regional campuses or regional affiliated university under the campuses under the Tribhuvan University. In that case, I believe there are some like a CD, the computers which equipped with the CD-ROM. In that case, in the headquarters, he or the Tribhuvan University professor make a lecture or the video conferencing lecture, and they copy it, and then you copy through the CD-ROMs, and then CD-ROM can be easily distributed to those campuses. If the student nearby the campuses come to the school, and then they can watch it through the PC, which will be very easy. So that kind of things we can give you the solution for that matter.
Well, how are you preparing to reach out to the people in the change political context? There are many provinces and people are trying to access this education. What is your preparation? It's already been 4 years this center has been established.
Currently we are using a blended mode. We distribute the printed materials as self-learning, self-study materials, And also we use Moodle as the learning management system, which is a virtual classroom, and the students can access. And some of the students had difficulty in reaching out to the Moodle classroom because of low bandwidth of the internet. So what we are doing at the moment, we are trying to use the mobile application. And the Moodle embedded into the Android mobile, and then they can read all the materials that we upload on offline, and also they can write their assignment and then upload them there, but it's not uploaded to the internet unless it is connected to the net. So maybe once in a week or twice in a week they go to the place where there is good internet access, and then it synchronizes the entire materials there. So that's one. And the second option that we are thinking of is the local FM radio station. As Professor Yang mentioned earlier, if we could develop the lectures and the CD-ROMs and the class discussion and use these local stations. And also the Ministry of Education is planning to equip all the community schools with ICT equipment. And if we can capitalize those resources. So in Nepal, I don't see any problem with the resources. There are a bunch of resources around. What we need is the strategies and ideas how we can leverage those resources down there. So it's a matter of coordination. So if you can maintain that coordination through ODEC and through, as Dr. Yang mentioned, through these affiliated and constituent campus of Tribhuvan University, I think that's doable.
What are the major tools that your university in Korea, Korean National Open University, has used throughout these years, defining and materializing the idea of ICT?
Yeah, since 1972, its inception, we at that time we used the textbooks and the audio cassette and the CD-ROMs. Nowadays we are using like a web-based lecture, and of course it is uploaded on the website, and of course we have a TV studio. In that case, we broadcast all the lectures through the TV network. So if the student have can access to the TV station, I mean the TV channel, he or she can watch all the lectures. It's free of charge.
Well, often there is criticism and confusion about open and distance education. You know, is there any difference between the term open and distance, or this education is almost same?
Well, actually, it's a kind of a terminology problem. Open means a lot. It means open to all. Open to all. That means if someone do not have a chance to get a higher education, we open to them sometimes, and then it's open to any knowledge. So if we want to get some specific knowledge, we can provide them. That means open. Distance means like the way of using a technology. It's like from the technology means a lot of things. So in terms of the from the perspective of the distance education, it means from the textbook up to the mobile phone.
Sometimes the term open is defined as being affordable. How do you define this terminology? Is open and distance education is affordable to anyone? Because in countries like Nepal, the underdeveloped worlds, people find it difficult having access to education. So is it open in terms of the affordability?
Yeah, of course. That's why we are providing the lectures in various ways. Like we're providing the lectures through the internet, and through the textbooks, and through the TV channels. That in that case, the student can choose one of them. So it's all open to using affordable. That means also affordable.
What do you have to say about the affordability of education?
I think we are the cheapest in Nepal because we charge. If I mention the current fee structure of our program, so if you go to face-to-face M.Ed program, it's 34,000. If you join ODEC, it's 24,000 for the entire M.Ed program. And then they don't need to come to the university. They can stay in their home. So no transportation, no lodging, and no food, So they come to us just four days during the entire semester. And they come for final exam. So I think it's very affordable for Nepali audience, and Tribhuvan University as the people's university, I think we are obliged to do that.
What about the quality? Quality within open and distance education is also criticized.
That's the crux of the issue. I mean, you might have heard last Thursday, among the university academics also, there are doubts. There are doubts because still we have not been able to communicate that. It's not their fault. It's our effort that we need to make them able to get the essence of open and distance education. So, number one, I already mentioned that open university and open mode of education is more relevant and meaningful because it can directly go into application immediately. You don't need to wait. Number one. Number two, only those who are genuinely interested to learn, they join open university. It's not the pressure, right? So there is a genuine interest among the learners to learn that particular course.
Are there any indicators, sorry interrupting you, for quality education in open and distance mode?
First of all, speaking of the affordability of the tuition, the tuition of the KNOU is 1/10 of the conventional university. It's very cheap. And back to the question you just asked about the
indicators for quality.
Yeah, quality. Well, let me point out that we have 23 states member. I mean the parliament member. Parliamentarian who graduate KNOU. That speaks it. I mean if they do not, they are not certified with our system, they cannot come up to that level. So that the history of KNOU speaks by itself.
How do you evaluate the overall education system and compare it with the distance and open education here in Nepal?
Right. I mean, there are issues not just in open and distance mode of education. There are issues in quality of education, particularly in the public education sector in Nepal. For a number of reasons, and one of them is the accountability issue, accountability of the main actors in the leadership, and number two, the mindset of people, the way we were groomed in the earlier part of our life because of the macro atmosphere. So public education system is suffering a lot from this quality issue, but since I am a very positivist person, what is it called? Optimist person.
Optimistic.
I don't think that we have reached to the point of no return. There are still bunch of ways that we can fix those issues and then bring the rigor and quality that the Tribhuvan University cherished in the long past.
And how do you ensure that there is no discrimination when students graduates from the conventional way of education from your own university, Tribhuvan University, and the students graduating from distance and open mode?
This is what I have been asked quite often, but my response would be the graduates of open and distance education are one step ahead from the conventional universities, because our students, we have a mechanism to ensure that they learn what they are supposed to learn in terms of curricular content. Plus, our students are also proficient users of ICT because that's the tool they used during their course of study, unlike the face-to-face students. So my observation is that graduates of open and distance mode of education are also proficient in the use of ICT, which will contribute to enhance their performance at their workplace. So since we have just started, actually we are from our center in collaboration with a partner from Norway, we are organizing a conference in October, and in which we are inviting the students of our ODEC programs and then share their experience, how they see themselves as the students growing up in this open and distance mode of education. So in terms of quality, I don't see any issues there. But it's the rigor that you need to establish, the mechanism that you need to establish.
Well, there are many interesting issues coming out, but we are coming to the end of the show. I have a final question for both of you.
Right.
It's open by name, but education is something most often criticized for not having access to some marginalized communities here in Nepal, say girls' education, or say people deprived for going to school. So how do you ensure that the mode of open and distance education would ensure that all people come to this process and they are provided with the appropriate education through this mode very quickly?
Okay, let me just give you the example of the Korean National Open University. We have a variety of the students. So from the age 19 years old up to the 80 years old. Then half of the students are female. And then we have a special program for the students who need the special needs. So that means that we do not have any the barriers to get into that kind of quality-based higher education. That's my answer.
What do you have to say?
I think you are absolutely right. Education always serves the elites group, and then reaching out to the vulnerable, marginalized. That's always issue across the globe, not just in Nepal. In case of Nepal, since we have a very progressive constitution at the moment, I think we need proactive approach in 3 different levels. Political level, we cannot say that we have ODEC, we have open university, it's open, you come and study there. No, it's not enough. We need a proactive approach from the political level, from the academic level like us, and from media campaign. I think if you include all these 3 proactive initiatives in bringing those people and let them know that there are opportunities for them in an affordable price, I think we can reach out to them.
Well, it was pleasure talking to both of you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for having us.
Dear audience, time now to wrap up the show. Keep watching us. See you next week. Namaste.